Morning guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a long awaited video. I know you have all been waiting for this video. The water pump and cam belt have just arrived. I've got them there in a box. I was just delivered to the gate. We've been sitting there watching the camera waiting for them to come. So the plan today is we're going to do the belt, the water pump, and then we're going to go right through it and do a pre-MOT check. So that as soon as that MOT station is open, we can whip this over there and get an MOT on it, or at least put it through its paces. We've also, the splitter has arrived. Probably not going to get a chance to put that on in this video, but that, you know, we've got that here now, so that is something to be getting on with, getting it all marked up and getting the holes drilled and putting it on, test fitting it, etc. So enough talking, let's get on with it and try and get it done today. Bit of time lapse there. That was the hose that was leaking, so we got that off. The Jubilee clip was quite loose and very difficult to get to, so obviously that hadn't been turned enough. You can see it has got that alley radiator and those uprated fans, but these hoses, that one's got a big chunk out of it. That's lucky that didn't go through. In fact, we can't put that back on there, that's too far gone. That's probably 80% of the way through. And just to show you what we was doing over here, we had a go at undoing the bolt, but it was just spinning. So Chris got his chain wrench on there, and we have sort of blocked it in the back of the water pump there. And as soon as we did stop it, he spun that straight undone. Those two auxiliary belts, we've loosened the alternator off and removed them. So we've just got the power steering one there to remove. And we'll crack on and try and get this cam belt swapped out. Getting on with it. Timing belt as is removed, water pump is out now, all the face has all been cleaned up, so we are pretty much ready to start piecing it back together. We didn't have a timing tool, so Chris literally just made one up for it, but it's all timed up, it's all absolutely spot on. We're going to start the process of putting it all back together now. Just going over to the bench, this is the old water pump, and as you can see, this was leaking as well, and as was that one at some point has been leaking. We have got a few hoses left over from various other cars, so we are going to try and make up some new hoses for it the best we can until the whole lockdown's over and we can order a hose set for it. So there isn't actually any movement in that, but as a rule, really, when you change a cam belt, you change the water pump. They're not expensive. New water pump there with a new gasket. The old cam belt, quite a lot of you was worried about this and said, Rob, don't start that car, don't drive it. The cam belt's going to be knackered. And as you can see, it really wasn't that bad. It's reasonably good actually, but we've got a brand new one here. Again, only cheap. I've got the invoice here. I'm just going to grab it and let you know how much it was. Sorry. Save keep cutting in and out. £71.44 for the lot. So just really inexpensive to do. You would have seen in the last video, we did do oil, filter and fit a nice new set of plugs in it. So that's pretty much it. We do need to get 3 auxiliary belts for it. They did not have them in stock either, but they have been ordered and we're waiting for them. You probably would have seen on that time lapse there, and you was all wondering what the hell I was up to with one of the water hoses. Again, we can't get a hose set for it. So temporarily, you would have seen me there with a bit of sandpaper, and I actually rubbed one of the hoses down, completely took the shine off of it. And I'll give it a couple of coats of black outside on this bit of foam. And there is still a couple of patches on it, but it's come up all right, and it really does take the eye off it for a minute, because every time I open that bonnet, it does make me heave, to be honest, looking at these hoses. They look absolutely atrocious. So let's get on and get this timing belt water pump fitted back on and get it run up to temperature. So you would have seen there, we've absolutely been wasting our time for the last 20 minutes. I mean, this is atrocious. We know that. We know it's not nice, but it hasn't got one, and I haven't got one for it at the moment. So we was trying to get it on there, and the amount of messing around it was, the bottom don't quite reach, so there's a bracket. And then when you do this bolt up here, the one on the top was too short. So we have done away with that idea. New water pumps on there. We haven't connected up all the water pipes yet. Let me just put that torch on so we can see what we're talking about. We haven't connected all the pipes back up because we want to try and find some pipes to replace it. And obviously we'd like to change the shower pipe as well. So someone's put a copper pipe on there, God knows why. Now the timing was actually out 1 tooth, and now it is absolutely bang on. We've chucked the jump pack on it, and we are going to spin it over and try and run it without any hoses on it, just to see what it sounds like, and obviously to make sure that it is all spot on. So I'm going to what, you can really, that really has made a difference, getting that timing bang on, because it sounds completely different. I'm not going to run that thing on because obviously we've got no water in it. What a difference that made. Literally, it wasn't until we spun it round and got both of the arrows to line up here, and Chris had to make that tool up, and he went, Now I think that there are tooth out, them two. So we spun it round again. They lined up great, but the ignition timing was out 1 whole tooth. And you just heard that there. I can't wait to get the hoses on it now, get some water in it, and actually run that up to temperature. And obviously it will be quite nice now as well, knowing that we got that belt and that water pump on it. So onto the welding mask just quickly. A few of you said, Chris must have a welding mask. And this is his welding mask he's had for years. And he said, you cannot see a thing through it. It's knackered. So we know that he ordered one, but it didn't turn up. So last night, a friend of mine, Darren, reached out to me and said, Rob, I've got a welding mask here. I can drop it off to you in the morning on the way to work. I'm never going to use it. You can have it. So he did that this morning. And Darren gave us this. So thank you very much, Darren. A Mac welding mask. And Chris said, that is it now, Rob. We can crack on and get the job done. And as you can see through it. Perfect. And then about 20 minutes after I turned up this morning, Chris's mask arrives, the one that's been delayed. So 1 minute we haven't got one because it's knackered, and now we've got two. So we can now start getting on with the old LSE. Obviously not in today's video though. We really are moving on with it now. We're coming towards the end, in fact. I just thought I'd give you a bit of an update on how we're getting on with it. Obviously, don't forget, these hoses, they're not a permanent thing. I just couldn't bear looking at them blue anymore, and it only took a second to just scotch them off and paint them. So I've done that. I've changed this one here. We had a bit of black hose, so I've cut that down. The little one in there, I've cut down as well. Basically, there's all the hoses in the bin now that we've cut off of it so far. We are going to try and find a new bit of rubber line for this in a minute. It seems very, very similar to like washer jet pipe, so hopefully we should be able to get some of that. And the bottom hose, obviously I did give that a bit of a paint as well. Chris is just going around basically tidying up all of that mess. I mean, there was like 5 lives, wasn't there, going to that battery? Yeah. There was 5, and as you can see now, he has tidied them all up, put heat shrink over the ends of them, and just changed it to basically 3 wires. He's just going to move on in a minute to this fan. I said, are we plugging that back in? And he went, no, we're cutting it off and redoing it because it's absolutely terrible. But all we've got to do really is finish those few wires off and then put some water in it, and then we can run it up, get it up to temperature, and see how we're getting on with it. I wanted to really give you an update now because we don't want to put any more time lapse in the video. There is already a couple of minutes in there, so I'll cut back in as soon as we're ready to put the water in it and get it all run up. That is the cam belt service, all done. Just topped it up with water. I'm going to fire it up and let it run up to temperature. I've had to chuck the horrible wheels back on it as well, unfortunately. I've had the fuel pipe off to reroute it, so it let all the pressure out of it. How much nicer does that sound now? You've got no tapping at all, and there's no hunting or messing around with it. That new water pump's working well. Come back as soon as that's warmed up. Quite a nice easy job. You will notice in the video this did actually happen over a couple of days. We just completely lost track of time yesterday, and we had to come back and start it again today. But I had to give it a bit of a wash off. It's a nice reflection in there because it was smothered in dust. And like I said, those hoses, it is just a temporary measure, but all the ones that we did swap out, what a difference they have made just taking that oil off of it. I mean, that's horrible as well, but it's starting to look better. It sounds absolutely incredible. It was so much easier getting in it, revving it. There was no messing, no missing, and I pulled it straight out of the workshop. So unfortunately, we didn't get time to put the new splitter on or mock it up, but we will be doing that in a later video. Me and Chris will put that on. We're going to go right through it and make sure that it is MOT ready, so that the minute they let us go and we can go and MOT this, we will be doing the first drive in it, taking it over, getting it MOT'd, etc. In that next video, when we do that inspection, we'll make it quite a nice long one, and we're going to get involved, get in the side. I know quite a lot of you haven't really seen the inside, or we haven't got into depth about that yet, and it is quite mucky in there, but we're going to crack on, get a few bits fitted in there, do all the bits and pieces on it, and then take it over for that MOT and take it for a proper drive, and let's see what sort of power it has got. Quite a lot of you keep asking, are we going to put it on a dyno? And the answer to that is probably yes, because we don't know what brake horsepower it is. I have spoken to somebody that used to own this car, and he reckons that it is running over 400 horsepower, but we don't know that, and we got no proof of that. So it would be really nice to find out exactly what it has got. Really nice to finish that video outside then, but the sun was so bright I'd be squinting, otherwise I'd have to put the sunglasses on. I do hope you enjoyed the video on the Sierra Cosworth. It's a big job done now that we can basically put that car through its paces, and we haven't got to worry about that belt snapping or the pump giving up the ghost. So we're quite happy about that. I've just explained what we're going to be doing in the next video. We're getting close to having it MOT ready, but unfortunately they're just not open, so it is holding us back. But obviously we've got the welding mask now, so we'll be getting on with this. We're going to be welding up the little Fiat 500. All the projects are good to go. We seem to have everything for them now, so fingers crossed we can knock our way through them and produce plenty of content for you guys. If you did enjoy this video, please do give us a thumbs up. We really do appreciate it, and it shows your appreciation. Check out the merch. This is one of the latest t-shirts. The link is in the description for some little sneak peeks throughout the day. Instagram, it's Salvage Rebuilds. We want to thank each and every one of you again for watching, and we'll see you very soon in the next one.